Hi everyone. I think for the first time ever, natural lighting actually agrees with me. Who knew? I'm just gonna get some music on before I start talking. Hopefully copyright free music. So I hope everyone's doing okay. I just wanted to get a few things out of my system and then just relax and get on with the rest of my day. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was how abuse victims respond to situations. Now, I've been having some Facebook back and forths with a few idiots now, and they're just basically making excuses for abuse, because I said something along the lines of, if you're an abuse victim, it's not your fault that you actually choose to stay there. And yeah, it's not. But then you've got people coming in and saying, oh yeah, it is your fault. There has to be some accountability. And because abuse is normally associated with women, that's when people decide, oh, you got to take accountability. Now, this is my thing, right? When it comes to abusers, everything is about control. So what they do is when they abuse you, they don't start off abusing you. That's A. They start off appealing to every single desire that you have if they can possibly help it. They start off love bombing you. They start with the lies. They start by not showing you their true self yet until they're close enough to you for you not to leave them. That's usually how they play it, right? And then the more they get to know you is the more they kind of slowly introduce the abuse. Can start with like an offhand phrase here and there. You might write it off. Maybe they're feeling bad about themselves. But then they increase it over time, and they increase it over time, still playing on the suspension of disbelief to get you to not only stay with them, but give them the benefit of the doubt. And then we also have to remember Robert Greene's laws of power, where a dishonest person who engages in one honest act is more likely to be trusted than a completely generous and kind and decent person engaging in one form of dishonesty or one flawed form of behavior. So abusers understand this. They understand the negative bias of humanity, and they play on that in order to get strong, happy, carefree people into a position where they become dispensers of ego fuel. So abusers have a very deliberate system that they employ in order to keep you in your place. So again, when I say it is not an abuse victim's fault for staying, that's exactly what the fuck I mean. Because the abuse is designed to keep you where you are. And if you are in a position where you create a power imbalance between yourself and another person, and the power imbalance is in your favor, you are the one who is responsible. You are the one at fault. I don't care how other people feel about it. If you're an abuse victim and you are having fear, shame, and guilt weaponized against you, and you have that same fear, shame, and guilt keeping you in the abusive situation, then fear, shame, and guilt is not going to get you up out of there. It's just not. I'm sorry. The only thing that works if you are a victim of abuse is patience with yourself. It's remembering, oh, okay, like I did one little thing wrong. I don't have to make a big deal out of it. I know they're going to, but I don't have to. It starts with showing patience with yourself. It starts with showing kindness to yourself. That's how it starts. And it starts up here. And on top of that, instead of engaging in big fuck off actions that will make you feel daunted to even attempt to leave the abusive situation, the way in which you build up the strength and courage to leave is through micro actions. You do the same thing the abusers did. The same thing the abusers do to keep you is the same thing that you're supposed to do to get up out of the situation. Take it in incremental steps. Incremental steps. Keep yourself as quiet as possible. Don't let anybody know what's going on. Small steps. Make them so small as to be imperceptible even when they have endless tabs on you. That's what you're going for. So it's incremental steps. It's kindness to yourself up here. It's patience with yourself up here. Those three things are far more effective to get you up out of an abusive situation. The act of radical love and radical self-love will do far more to get you up out of that situation than for you to be judgmental against yourself or even against your abuser. Judgment is not going to get you up out of that situation. Being mean to yourself ain't, you know, if meanness works for you, if you have a humiliation kink, cool. But being mean to yourself is not going to get you up out of that abusive situation. So I don't have time for people who come online and talk about accountability. It's always accountability when it comes to people who should not be abused. It's always them that have to be accountable for people who chose to engage that power imbalance in the first place. Why is it the victim's responsibility? Why is it their responsibility? That doesn't make sense to me. If I'm the abusive person and I'm the one who chooses to engage in a power imbalance between myself and somebody else, and myself and a victim, then it's my fault. It's got nothing to do, it's got nothing to do with anything else, because I am the one with the power. If I'm choosing to abuse somebody, take away their financial livelihoods, like financially abuse them, if I'm choosing to financially abuse somebody that I'm supposed to care about, if I'm choosing to financially abuse somebody that I'm supposed to care about, if I'm choosing to emotionally abuse somebody that I'm supposed to care about, if I'm choosing to physically abuse somebody that I'm supposed to care about, I am taking away their agency. I am taking away their agency. And when I take away their agency, I'm taking their what? Responsibility. I'm taking away their culpability. The shit goes both ways. I can't take everything away from them and then have them be responsible for how things turn out. That if the power lies with me, if it starts with me, then it ends with me. That's where the fault begins and ends. I don't understand how people don't understand this. But then again, I shouldn't be so judgmental, because I used to be like that. When I was in the throes of my abusive situation, I was in so much denial that when somebody else was going through abuse, I was unsympathetic. I was like, why don't you just get out? Meanwhile, I'm the same one sitting here not getting out of my abusive situations. It's easy to be judgmental with other people when you're an even bigger mess than the person you're judging, and in denial about it. It's easy to fucking do that. And I guarantee you, a lot of these people talking about accountability when it comes to abuse, they're even bigger messes than the abuse victims. Messes of anger, of emotional repression. Just fucking messes. They can't even do something as simple as walk away from a situation that stresses them out. And yet you're supposed to walk away from an entire life. You're supposed to walk away from the relative safety of an abusive situation and into the unpredictability of being away from that person, not knowing how you're going to support yourself. You're supposed to walk away from all of that, while these people talking about accountability, they can't even shut the fuck up and walk away. Just have to bully you. Just have to bully you out of frustration or some contemptuous glee at finding a weaker person to kick. They have the easier job of maybe making a phone call or maybe offering a kind word, like I tried to do on that Facebook post with abuse victims. You have the easier task of lending a kind word. You can't fucking do it. You can't fucking do it. You got to talk about accountability. You have the easier job. You have the easier job of shutting the fuck up if you don't have anything nice to say. You have the easier job of walking away if you're not going to help. You have the easier job of just Basic empathy. You have the easier job out of you and the abuse victim. You have the easier job. But once again, we are in a position where the more vulnerable you are, is the more work that you are asked to do. Not just physical labor, but emotional labor. And abuse and trafficking victims and survivors are no fucking different. We want to sit here and wring our hands when it's too late to step in and do something. But if the abuse victim and survivor is still alive and not, you know, it doesn't matter how they react either. We're still going to call them full of shit. If the abuse victim is meek, maybe they're laughing out of nervousness, trauma, or dissociation, we accuse them of we accuse them of wanting to be in the abusive situation. We accuse them of wanting to be there. If they are crying and they're beaten down, we're telling people to get up off their knees if they're crying and beaten down. If they're angry and fighting, it means that they're not real victims because they're angry and they're fighting back and they're talking back. Like, it doesn't matter what the situation is, victims are always looked down on. So that's why I don't have time for people talking about accountability when it comes to victims, and especially not female victims of abuse. You can miss me with that bullshit. You have the easier job. You have an easier job than they do. It's always the people who are being bullied that have the harder job of turning their lives around. All the bullies have to do is shut the fuck up. That's all they have to do. Literally, shut up. If you ain't got anything good to say, if you don't have anything good to contribute, shut the fuck up and walk away. That's very, very easy. It's such an easy tool to accomplish. And people can't do it. Yet the abuse victim is meant to take not only the shame, fear, and guilt that their abuser is piling on them, but they're meant to take the shame, fear, and guilt that you're piling on them as a bystander. They're meant to take all of that and walk away with it. That sounds like some real psychopathic shit. I don't know about you. Again, I'm using clinical terms that I shouldn't use. But no, that sounds psychopathic as fuck. That's not even psychotic. That's not even psychotic. That's devoid of humanity. That is inherently violent. Which really brings me to my next point. These same people talking about accountability are the same ones that want sympathy when they go through something. If you want to do this dog eat dog shit of it's the victim's fault that they don't leave, if you want to do this dog eat dog shit, don't start fucking complaining when a bigger monster than you eats your face off. Don't do it. You better suck that shit up. If you can't have sympathy for victims, I don't want to hear what you have to say when this system beats you down, when your job beats you down, when your boss beats you down, when somebody in your family pulls your punk card. I don't want to hear what you have to say after that. If you want to live in a world of brutality, you live in your world of brutality. You leave people who actually want a good life alone. If that's what you want, then that's what you want. But when a bigger monster than you comes along and you're 3/4 of the way down its fucking gullet, before you realize how outclassed you are, don't start complaining to nobody. Don't do it. Don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If you cannot be kind and be compassionate to people who are already on the floor, if you cannot be kind to them, then I don't want to hear what you got to say when a bigger monster than you eats your ass up. I don't want to hear it. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear that shit. Keep it to yourself. Don't complain to the rest of the world. No, I don't have sympathy for that nonsense. I know I've done the same thing. This is coming from somebody who's done the same thing, but I had to learn. I had to learn about empathy. I had to learn. And it's not even about being intelligent. It's not about, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, well, nobody's as intelligent as that. No, people aren't actually thinking of that. It's not about being intelligent. It's about using your eyes and giving a shit. In fact, it's not even about using your eyes. A blind man can perceive when something is wrong. It's about using your fucking heart. It's about empathizing and giving a shit. Not everything is about brain power. God damn. Like I said, don't complain to me about the bigger monster in your backyard if you're going to talk shit about people who can't defend themselves. Don't complain to me, don't complain to the internet, and don't complain to the world. Keep that shit to your fucking self. I don't want to hear how hard you got it. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. Because the only difference between you and an abuser is that you're a passive predator. Shut the fuck up. This is why I needed the relaxing music in the background. What is my bonnet doing? You see, I've got plaits underneath here. Oh. Got plaits underneath here. So it's just not looking right. This is why I needed the relaxing music in the background. Because this shit makes me heated. And my bonnet is a mess. Well, it's not a bonnet, it's a turban. But yeah, my turban is a mess. So, no. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that shit. It's infuriating. It's infuriating. Treat people with kindness, man. It's not difficult. But if you don't want to do that, if you like legitimately don't want to do that, don't start complaining when karma comes knocking on your door and you end up with a bigger monster on your door, like I said before, and I've repeated 1,000 times. Suck it up, baby. Suck it the fuck up. And when I say suck it up, that includes not making judgments. That includes keeping your judgments to yourself. You know what I mean? I have no time for victim blamers. None. I have no time for victim blamers. There are things that we can do to protect ourselves. There are things that we can do to take care of ourselves. And yes, to take accountability. But from time you're a victim of the most awful abuse and you're being blamed for it. Baby, I don't have time for that shit. Don't have time for it. So that was the first, hang on. Am I done with that subject? Is there something else to bring up? I don't know. Yeah. I think I'm done with that subject. I want to move on. If I forget something, then I'll just put it in another video. So, that was that first subject spoken about. Now, the second one I'm going to talk about is the tarot. I almost don't want to talk about this because I don't feel like it's worth it at this point. But there were 2 TIs today that pissed me off and they know who they are. And when it came to me talking about my tarot readings, the question that I was asked by both of them is, does it say anything about ending gang stalking? Now, the first one was talking about, unless it says the end of gang stalking, it's a waste of time. And then there was another one saying that, oh, has it ended gang stalking yet? And I just said no. Or does it tell you it's going to end gang stalking? I said no. Because it doesn't tell you that. It's not going to tell you that it's going to end gang stalking. Not if you're honest with yourself. And this is the thing, right? When people don't believe in something, and when people have already made up their minds to give up on something that they know nothing about, they give that thing an ultimatum. For example, if I don't believe in the tarot, right, then I'm already coming to the table when somebody's giving a reading. I'm already coming to the table with an ultimatum for the tarot. You better tell me what I want to hear, or I don't want anything to do with you. First of all, you're not that special. Nobody is that special. And it's disrespectful to think that you are. Now, with me, with conventional medicine, Everybody knows I have a problem with conventional medicine, but here's the thing. There is some conventional medicine that actually works. The problem is not actually inherently the conventional medicine, because in a lot of cases it has saved lives. So the problem is not inherent in conventional medicine itself. That's not where the problem is. The problem is that all too often, when it comes to conventional medicines, profit is put over people, which means you get a lot of people who are misdiagnosed. You get a lot of people who are prescribed medications like me that are wrong for them. You get people who are deliberately having these drugs weaponized against them. It doesn't mean that conventional medicine doesn't actually work. If conventional medicine didn't work, they wouldn't be able to threaten people with it. They wouldn't be able to hold ultimatums with the conventional medication that actually works. They wouldn't be able to do that if conventional medicine didn't actually work. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there are conventional medicines that work. Just because I don't like conventional medicine, it doesn't mean that I expect one fucking pill to cure me of all illnesses that I have in my body, because that's not the way it fucking works. First of all, the conventional medicines have nothing to prove to me when they have already saved lives. They have nothing to prove to me. Who am I? Nobody. And even though this is a really bad example, because tarot is not medicine, tarot is nowhere near on the same level as medicine, and I say that even as a tarot reader, even though I say that tarot from that perspective is nowhere on the same level, tarot in a lot of instances has changed people's lives for the better. My readings have given people hope and given people something to go away from. A lot of my readings have been accurate, and they've given people positive steps to take in their lives. So just because you don't like it, or you don't like what I'm doing with my tarot readings, it doesn't mean it's a wash. Expecting it to perform miracles and give you what you want, and otherwise you're done with it. Again, you're not that special. Just walk away from it. Just walk away from it. Nobody asked for your input. Nobody asked for what you thought of it. Nobody asked those questions. You are not that special to expect miracles from something that you already chose not to educate yourself on and not to trust in the first place. You are not that special. And that's what I have a problem with. I don't like that shit. It's arrogant. It's arrogant. More than criticizing the tarot itself, I don't like this attitude that if you don't like something, we have the same principle with anything in life. Anything in life that we've already decided not to like, we decide it has to be above and beyond for us to like it. Just leave the things that you dislike alone. Leave the things that you don't believe in alone. Leave the things that you don't trust alone. You could have said congrats, Fabi, kept it pushing. But no, you didn't want to do that because you're arrogant. And for the record, I practice the occult. And what it teaches you in the occult is the same thing it teaches you in religion. And it's the same thing that atheists say every fucking time. Nobody can do for you what you can't do for yourself. When the act of prayer is a sublime act. It's an act that's emotional. It's an act that sends certain frequencies out into the world. But frequencies are not feet on the ground. As a tarot reader, I can tell you exactly what you need to do and exactly how to handle a situation. I can tell you what's ahead of you. I can even read your heart's desire. I can tell what you want. But unless you actually put feet to the ground, what I have to tell you, it only has the subtlest effects at most. because everything emotional, it operates at a subatomic level and they will only go so far. That is why magicians believe in mundane work, putting your feet to the ground, actually working towards what you want with your hands or with whatever appendages you have. They believe in doing the physical work as well as prayer, as well as tarot readings, as well as magic. It's not enough just to rely on these things. It's not enough just to rely on these things and think that it's going to work for you. Anyone with a brain will tell you that. But because you don't know or believe in it, you're expecting it to perform physical miracles, yet and still your prayers are being answered right in front of you. Spirit has sent that to you. Through the frequency that you're putting out, Spirit has sent that to you, and you're fucking blowing your nose with the answers to your prayers. It's like, fucking come on, bro. Again, you attract what you're looking for on a vibrational level. All of it is vibrational, emotional. All of that is subatomic shit. All of that is borderline imperceptible stuff that you're working with. And with subtle energies, the more you put out and the further it goes, the more it's dispersed. It's not like physical work. So expecting something that's sublime, that's something that's on an emotional level to perform physical miracles. What the fuck are you on? What packet are you on? What packet are you on? What type of packet are you on to expect something emotional, something subatomic, something subtle to perform gross ass miracles? Just because you don't like it, you expect it to perform miracles, or you don't want nothing to do with it. Well, shut the fuck up then. That's why I don't have time for, the same reason I don't have time for religious people is the same reason I don't have time for people who are skeptical of spirituality. You're both idiots. You're both idiots. And you're both arrogant. Like so many religious people, they don't know their arse from their elbow, don't know their own scriptures properly, want to make judgments. And then you've got people on the other side of the equation coming along, claiming to be open because they're not religious. But they're just as closed-minded as the religious people. What's the point? And I feel like more than people criticizing me over my tarot, you see, that's what's getting me heated. It would be one thing if people just criticized my tarot and kept it moving. It's the ignorance and the arrogance laced with the ignorance. Like, I can't, man. Like, it's just, I can't. I cannot. And I will not. Nah, man. And I did a reading, like, I think it was, hang on, when did I do the reading? I think it was in 2020. It was just before I left London. And I put this spread out for tarot. I put this tarot spread out, this Celtic cross spread out. And I said, a way will be illuminated, darkness will be cleared, fears will be put aside. And the more that I read that, looked at that reading, the more I read, I actually wasn't wrong. Because there are certain TIs, even though the gang stalking hasn't ended, there's at least one TI who has a lawsuit happening because of the psychiatric abuse they've suffered. There's another TI that's found their purpose in something that they really love to do. There's me, who came to Brighton, didn't know what the future would hold for her. I'm slowly but surely growing my tarot hobby into something tangible. So there are so many TIs out there who are still going through pain, but then a way is being illuminated for them. A purpose is being illuminated for them. So I wasn't fucking wrong. I wasn't fucking wrong, because it was right on the money. There are quite a few of us who, since that reading was done, have found their purpose. found a way through in spite of the gang stalking. So no, I wasn't fucking wrong. But again, people see what they want to see. They're skeptical over what they want to be skeptical of. You could have said, well done, Fab, you kept it moving. No, you chose not to do that because you're arrogant and ignorant. And you're resentful. And, you know, one of these people, I actually supported them. I bought a book of theirs. Because when I'm asked to step up to the plate as a TI, one TI to another TI, I show up. I show up. I don't do that bitter shit. I show up. And out of how many TIs that I've supported, I've only known 2 TIs that have supported my work. 2. One by like literally financing, like putting the shelves up for me, like giving me all kinds of supplies and stuff. Like I've only, that's one TI. The second TI has actually purchased a reading from me. 2 TIs out of how many that have actually supported what I'm doing. Again, it's one thing to not believe in it, but you're really showing who you are when you engage in this behavior. And this is another thing about TRs that I want to highlight. A lot of you don't have social skills. A lot of you don't have social skills, and you don't have an understanding as to how warfare works. Do you seriously think that our gang stalkers do not have different divisions? They have different divisions. They have different hierarchies. They have different types of people doing different types of things. They've got the weapons people in one corner. They got the tactical people in another. They got the street theater people in another. They got the regional managers in another. It's all like a diverse, there are diverse sections operating under one, with one job. The problem with TIs is that we're obsessed with doing one thing in one way. We want to end gang stalking, but we can't get over ourselves long enough to even be respectful to each other. We can't get over ourselves long enough to actually support one another in the community beyond empty lip service. That's a problem. And it allows perps to infiltrate and talk shit as well, because you're not standing on your square. You want to end gang stalking, but again, the physical work is missing. With me and what I do with my tarot hobby, a way is being paved for me to be a part of ending it. Or to at least be a part in arming future victims of exactly what they're up against. That's the purpose of my tarot. That's the reason I fucking started the shit. I am contributing in my own way. To the people criticizing me, what exactly are you contributing? Now, again, one of you has contributed a book. I can't be mad at you for that. But it also illustrates my point that different people are able to do different things with the skills that they have. If it all leads towards the same thing, what the fuck is the problem? And again, it allows perps to come in and talk shit as well, because you're talking shit. Rather than supporting one another, you're talking shit. You're doubting the validity of somebody else's pain because they choose to deal with it in a different way to you. And it's not even just about the tarot. It's about everything in my life that I post on social media. Getting interrogated with questions. Well, if you're a TI, how come you're able to do this? Because I have my own way of dealing with it. It's really that simple. You know what I mean? I don't deal with arrogance, and I don't deal with ignorance. I don't deal with that. So anybody who comes at me with that, they will be dealt with. Because I don't play that, man. I don't play that. So yeah, more than the criticism over the tarot, because I mean, people who criticize the tarot are usually pathetic anyway. But like, no, and I don't mean that as shade. I mean that like, Usually people who criticize the tarot are heavily skeptical and have an unrealistic perspective on life, ironically. And ironically, they have an unrealistically pessimistic perception of life. They only believe the surface level of what people tell them anyway. That's what I found anyway. Anyone who makes up their mind to dismiss something that you're interested in before they know the issue is a fucking fool. So it's not even the tarot thing that upsets me. It's just the ignorance, the arrogance, and the pride in your like, it's just feeling so proud of yourself to be ignorant in this way. That's what gets me. It's the pride in that level of stupidity. I don't get it. Just with the abuse victims and the abuse survivors, the way we treat them, it's fucking arrogant. It's fucking arrogant as hell. I don't understand it. I don't get that attitude. And even as somebody who knew that I was masking, knew that I was in denial, knew what was going on in my own life, it just staggers me how little personal responsibility other people have whilst they're turning around to abuse victims saying you're not responsible enough. Fuck you. My God. A mess. A mess. Ooh, listen. Yeah, so whether you're dealing with people that are not approved of in society, and I'm not talking about, you know, not approved of in society like in public. I'm not talking about the things that we say. It's the unspoken. It's the unspoken things that we approve of. The truth of the matter is that we approve more of people who do not feel. We approve more of people who do not create. We approve more of people who are logical over intuitive. We value all these things, and then we lie to ourselves that we don't value these things. And what happens is we get people who are not as good as they think they are. We get people who are not as good as they think they are because they lie to themselves so fucking deep that even as they turn around to an abuse and trafficking victim and expect them to do harder work than the rest of us have to, that they're good people. They convince themselves that even as they expect something they don't like to perform miracles before they even take it seriously. That's messed up as fuck. That's incredibly messed up. You think that just because you expect something you don't like to perform miracles for you, you think that even after that you're a good person. That is wild to me. That is absolutely wild. Now I gotta go. People can hate me for this. You know what? I'm not even gonna entertain that. People's opinion is people's opinion. I don't give a fuck, right? I said what I said, and I'm standing in it. So anyway, I gotta go. Peace and blessings to you all. And once again, Empress Justice has a website. For those who are interested, please stop by. Have a look at my website. Have a look at all the stuff that I've done so far. The website thing is a little bit tricky. I'm not going to lie. Like, there are certain things I'm still getting to know about it. But have a look anyway. If you'd like to book a reading with me, you can. If you don't like to book a reading with me, again, keep that shit to yourself. I don't mind blocking you. Okay? I love you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye, my darlings.